Hey guys, in this video I want to do something a little bit different. In one of my classes earlier this semester, I prescribed an ambigram as one of the class assignments. Now in doing an ambigram, if you've never seen these before, these are simply words that are written out and designed in a way that if you rotate them around, it can be read the same way, or sometimes it could be rotated around to have a different word. So for instance, you can see the word ambigram, when it's flipped around, becomes ambigram again. And these are a lot of fun to play around with and do, specifically because you have to understand the readability of letters and you get to play around with the different design aspects that go along with it. So it's a good challenge to have. The problem is there's lots of great tutorials online and people demonstrating how to make an ambigram, but they don't necessarily step you through the hard work and process that it takes to research the ambigram that you are trying to create. So this video, I want to step you through my thought process for creating an ambigram of my name. I ran into a lot of difficulty, but in the end, I came up with a pretty good design. So to start off, I'm working in Illustrator, and I like to find two different font choices. The first one is going to be just a plain sans serif font, and in this case I'm using Arial because it gives me nice straight edges and even spacing for everything. I'll then type out my name both in all uppercase and all lowercase, and this is going to be very important because when you read English you can actually interchange uppercase and lowercase and it still works for the most part pretty good. Plus it gives you a lot to be able to work from. In addition to this, I try to do the same thing in a scripting font, all uppercase and lowercase letters. Now for the script font, these also can be written and come in a variety of different styles, and I try to find a script font that has the letters connecting in some way, almost like it's a brush script or handwritten script. So with these two fonts and four different ways of working, these are how I will start the research for my design. Now let's take this one thing at a time. I'm going to move these off my artboard for now, and let's start with the uppercase letters. I'll make a copy of it, and since we're working in Illustrator, I'm going to go up to Type and Create Outlines, and then I'm going to ungroup all of my letters. This way I can choose them individually and I can spread them out, and I'm even going to evenly space them so that I can see all those. That works well. Next, I'm going to make a copy of all my letters and simply rotate them upside down, and I'm going to change their color to red. This way I can see the difference between the two. Now it's a matter of matching up letter for letter. So I'm going to start with the first one. So if N and B overlap, what I'm looking for are any commonality, any areas that they share in common. So for instance, this bar on this side works well, and maybe even little curves on this side are matching. So if I do it to one, I've got to do it to the other. And I'll simply go through and find the commonality between each one of these, and just simply overlapping it to give myself an idea of how it should read. Right off the bat, I get an idea of which letters work well and maybe which letters are a bit more challenging. For instance, the N and the M, those work well because I got two different areas matching up and I can do something with the crossbar in the middle. But the E and the I, it's going to be difficult to do just the I without the little crossbars getting in the way, and certainly the A and the J are difficult too. But it's a starting point, so this gives me an idea of what I know works. Let's do the same thing now for the lowercase letters. Again, I'm going to break them apart by creating the outlines, and then I'm going to spread them apart so I can select them and move them around. When I start to make a copy of these and flip it over, now when I start to line these up, hey, I'm getting some really good lineups for this B and the N. So that looks pretty good for both for the lowercase first ones. The E and the I, again, that's giving me a little bit of difficulty because the I is so straight and the E is rounded. The M and the N line up nicely here. The A and the J's, they kind of line up. Maybe I could do something with that. Now another thing that I could do is I notice I got a J here. If I moved it over, that's actually a neat little way of connecting those. So let me do this. I'm going to make a copy of this one more time. And in doing my research, maybe if I moved the J over to here, I have to do the same for here. Now I've got an A that could easily be overlapping with this one too. So that would work out really well for Benjamin by having the M also become the N and the J with both of those. But that leaves me with the E and the I. So I've got something I can work with for both of these, but what can I do with that I? Well, this is where brush script may come in handy as well. So let's go through that thought process for those and see how that would work for this. We'll copy our uppercase scripts, outline them and ungroup them, and again, separate these out. Now naturally you would never write everything in all uppercase script simply because it's too difficult to read, but this does give me an idea of some of these more flowing curves and ways I can group these together. Let's make these red and see what this looks like. So again, the B, all right, this is kind of cool. So the B is kind of merging nicely with this N, maybe at least that little schwa here, and the N has a nice little outside area. So there's an option that I could work with. The I and the E, all right, so this I is kind of matching up, and there's a little uppercase E. I'll scale this down, whoops, excuse me, just so I can have a little bit more room to space these out as well. So we'll move those over. Here's the I and the E on this side, so those actually work out really well. Now, of course, the N works out really, really well because I've got so many letters that are overlapping. If I tried to do the J, hey, I can even match up the J really well with those two. So let's see if we can keep both of that working with this. So there's that, and the J fit there. Then, of course, the A, I could do something like this, or I could connect it this way. I think it fits a little bit better working with those. All right, so now I've got an A and all of those kind of matching up. Again, difficult to read. Let's do it one more time with the lowercase letters. Outline them and ungroup them, then space them out and give myself a little bit more room. And then finally we want to flip them a copy around, turn that into red. Work with this. Now I'm liking this. I especially like the brushness that comes with this particular design. So I could easily work with both of those. Hey, now even this E, so the curvature of the I matches nicely with the curvature of this one. As a matter of fact, let me go ahead and transform. I want to reflect this I around, and now I really get something that does match up nicely with this. So I could work with that particular style of eye. I couldn't do it with this style, but a brush style or a scripted style eye works really, really good. As a matter of fact, since I flipped it around, I'm going to copy this one and pull this over here. So now I've got that set to be there. Again, let's do the J. Oops, excuse me. H-I-V-N, J. There we go, B-E-N-J-A-M-I-N. Does help to spell your name correctly, J-A-M. All right, we'll do the same for these letters too. Take them and flip them. Now let's see if they work out well. So there's the M. That J is going to work out nicely, or could fit into there. And I like the way this M also fits nicely with this J. And now, of course, the A's, those work out really good too. So as far as scripting goes, I think this is a good solution to my research. I've got areas that overlap, and I've got areas that I can work with to tweak to get it to work with these. But I had to get here by seeing all the different variations and how those could easily work with each other. From here, once you get a design that you like, you can then even put it all in black just to get an idea of what you need to take away and what needs to be cleaned up, just so you can see your different letters in different parts. So this is all for this particular video. I wanted to step you through this process of what I would do to think through how your letters should look until you finally come to a solution that would work through. The final note that I'll mention is when you do fonts, keep in mind fonts come in a variety of different styles and different ways of playing these out, especially for scripting fonts. Some of these may be a little bit more calligraphic, traditional black letter, some of them maybe more of a handwritten style. So don't rule out anything, but start off with these basic ones first before jumping into some other fonts.